Yeah, thanks, Dustin. Yeah, so our next segment, which, we have 20 minutes left of the event. Make sure you stick around. We have giveaways coming up. But next, we're actually going to be bringing up a video from Tessa White, who's the job doctor. We reached out to Tessa. We asked if she'd be interested in answering some of the questions that you had. So we actually sent out a survey. We collected some questions, things about like, are you on the right career path? And how do you leverage your current skills if you want to become an analyst? Or what are some things that you can do to really set yourself apart from other candidates? I know, Eva and Blaine just talked about that, but we're going to get Tessa's perspective on that. And so she's put together a video for us specifically to answer those questions because she couldn't be with us here today. But we do have a video from her where, she's going to answer some of the most asked questions that we've heard from. So we'll watch that video, and then we are going to wrap up the event. So stay tuned.
Yes, and I can confirm that the giveaways have closed and I have drawn the winners. So definitely we will be announcing them after this video, which I am going to put on right now.
If your job is on life support, you need the job doctor.
Hi, my name is Tessa White. For those of you who don't know me, I'm known as the job doctor on social media. I actually think that's pretty funny because I am the most unlikely influencer you've ever met. I have about 25 years of HR experience. I left corporate America because I wanted to work the other side of the equation and help individuals with their careers. I've seen so many things through the years of how careers rise and fall and the conversations you don't get to hear behind closed doors. So my daughter said, let me post a few of your videos on TikTok. They're really good. She did. 2 days later, my son calls from California and he says, Mom, I don't think this is possible, but my girlfriend said she saw you on her For You page on TikTok. Well, I looked online, I had 10,000 followers, and I have averaged about 1,000 followers a day since then. Now I have over 1 million followers on my platforms, and I love helping people figure out how to untangle the mess of work and how to balance out the power between companies and people again and create more frictionless career growth. So today we're going to answer some questions for you because I've got some that you sent in and I would love to talk to you personally about how to help with your career. The first question that came in is, how do I know I'm on the correct path in my career? And the simple answer is, you really don't. I didn't know and you're not going to know. And in part it's because I don't believe there's just one correct path for people. I've probably had 3 or 4 different stories, completely different stories in my career, and none of them were necessarily wrong. What you'll find is that you will gravitate towards things that you love and things you do well, and you'll shy away from the things that you don't. The advice I have for you is to experiment. There's a time to experiment and then there's a time to lock in. Typically in your 20s, up until about age 32, 33 is a great time to just experiment. Find out what you like. And there is no lost time when you're experimenting. It really is just refining the thing that you like and the thing that you enjoy the most. And you have a higher likelihood of ending up in not just a job, but something better than a job, a career you love. A few people will be lucky enough to do a calling or something they just absolutely can't wait to get up in the morning and do. But what I don't want you to think is that that happens to everybody, because it doesn't. It's a very few people who actually get to do that. When you hit your 30s and 40s, that's when you really have to lock in. And that's when you really cement what your future is going to look like. And I don't want to scare people by saying that, because you can always pivot. I pivoted at age 50, 52. But you can always cement and then grow your career during that critical decade, because once you hit about 45, your pay doesn't seem to move up much after that, typically, so you can't waste time. That's when you have to get serious. That would be my advice to you. I love this next question. I get it a lot. It's, what are the 1 to 2 things that will set me apart from other candidates in a job? Is it soft skills, hard skills? How do I stand out? And the answer is, it isn't as much about the skills as it is your ability to tell the story correctly. So let me give you an example. If I tell somebody that I'm an HR professional with 25 years of experience, that is a snoozer answer. And yet, every other person that's going for the HR job is going to say the same thing. The way you set yourself apart is you do two things. You say, what are my special skills, the things that set me apart, my special sauce? And for me, I would say, I'm the HR person you would want to hire if you are a company that needs to put infrastructure in place to make things go fast, and if you have a high merger, acquisition, and growth strategy. Can you hear how much more impactful that is? Because I got more niche instead of staying so broad. And the next thing you do to set yourself apart is you share professional highlights in terms of the outcomes that you've gotten. When you can share outcomes, like I came into a company and within 6 months helped take them public, that's something that makes me believe you. But what most people do is they just share resume bullet points. And it just sounds like white noise. So that would be my best advice to you on that question. I got a great question about how do you pivot careers midway through? I have somebody who wants to move into data science, and that's not the area that they've been in before. Where do you start with a pivot? Well, there's a few tricks that I want to tell you to try. First of all, you want to begin building a resume that feels and looks like the job you want. So, first of all, try and get some classes, some certifications. They don't even have to be really difficult ones or really expansive ones. That just starts the ball rolling. The next thing you need to do is look at the job description of the jobs that you want. I would lift and shift the way they talk about that job onto my resume. Don't lie, but take the words that they use, because if you understand how applicant tracking systems work, the resume is going to read keywords off of the job description, not the way you talk about the job. And so your resume may not even make it through to be interviewed if you're not using the right words.
If you're not getting callbacks, it could be that you're using the wrong words on your resume. Here's a trick I want to teach you. Put your resume through a word cloud generator. Let me show you how it's done. First, do a Google search on word cloud generator. You're going to see dozens of different options. Pick one, they're all free. Now cut and paste your resume into the word cloud generator, and it's going to show you a picture of the words most commonly used in your resume. There you go. This is a word cloud of your resume. Look at the words here, and then take the job description and do the same thing. You're going to see a different set of words that pop out here. What you want to do is take the words showing up here, make sure they're embedded in your resume, and do it again until there's a pretty close match. For more tips on how to get hired and how to get a job, follow me here.
We are going to dissect a resume for a minute. And I think it's useful because when people see me talk through a line-by-line review of a resume and show you what I'm actually after and how you can transform it, I think it's really useful. So let's look at this one. I've hidden the name and identifying information. The top third of the resume is the very most important part. And you'll notice we go straight from the name into objective. I don't like that. What I would prefer to see, and I'll show you a sample in a minute, is across the top, a banner with 3 key words that describe the kinds of jobs that you're after. This is like the elevator pitch of the elevator pitch, and it helps drive somebody down and say, yes, I'm interested in this person, I'm going to read further in the resume. So it becomes a really critical place for the eye to hit. On objective, the big mistake that people make with objectives is they use a whole heck of a lot of words that don't mean anything. This one talks about, I want to help clients get the most out of technology and data through business intelligence and data analytics. But that's, I think, inherent in the job. So the question I would ask is, to make that more powerful, what is your superpower? What is the thing people call you out on about the way you look at analytics? Do you catch things, for instance, that other people don't catch? Do you find data and you're able to make it really actionable better than other people? What is the secret sauce you have? And let's make that less general and more specific and niche. I would lead with, I'm a person that simplifies very complicated data into visualizations that help you make decisions about the business. If you can get really specific about what kind of company would hire you and go as niche as possible, it will help make that more powerful. Now, on the resume, the next thing this person goes to is certification and education. I disagree with that. I think the next thing that you do, especially if you have at least 3 to 4 years of business experience, is professional highlights. The reason is this: a resume is supposed to make people believe you, that you can do what you say you can do. A job description is nothing but bullet points on a piece of paper, and it means absolutely nothing. But what does mean something is outcomes, results. So I want you to think about what are 3 business highlights. Start with the outcome, the thing you did that was so great, and then fill in the blanks with how you did it. So an easy way to think about this is, what was it like before I came? What was it like after I came? And I want to show you this after resume just to show you what that looks like. Now take a look at the resume top that I'm showing you. Here's what I was talking about. There's the bar at the top, giving that high level elevator pitch. I say what I'm best at, get very niche, and then look, there's the example of professional highlights. I always start with the accomplishment and then how I did it. Take a look at that. Now, if this person did this to the top third of their resume, even if they did nothing else, the rest of their resume would completely transform it. Next question: how do you effectively lead through change? Change is very, very difficult. And if there's just one piece of advice I can give you, it's to make sure and share your message over and over. You're going to feel like a broken record. You're going to feel like a broken record. You're going to feel like a broken record. You get the point. You do need to share your message multiple times and let people know, what is it that we're trying to accomplish? What does winning look like? During times of change, people leave because they don't have answers. And I promise you the answer they're going to come up with is way worse than what the reality usually is. So you've got to fill in the blanks on those answers. Share with your people every day, this is what we need to do to win, and this is what winning looks like. If there are adjustments, share. If there's bad news, share. I found with today's generation, what they want is transparency. And without transparency, you're going to lose people's minds and hearts. So don't be afraid to share a little bit of bad news, as long as you're also asking your people to come up with the problem solving around the bad news. When people feel like they're needed and they can make a difference and they're part of a solution, you can engage them. But people will leave so quickly during change if there's an absence of information, or if they don't understand what's going on or don't feel useful. Period.
There are 3 things every single manager should provide to his or her employees. The first one is clarity. You should never have to guess whether you're doing well or not doing well. Your manager needs to be able to express what you need to be working on and address problems the moment they happen, and not clear far down the line. The second thing a manager always needs to have is ethics. And by ethics, I mean you need to keep your word to your people. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. You follow through on that. People need to be able to count on their manager to have their back. And so what you say in front of your people is every bit as important as what you do behind closed doors. And lastly, a manager needs to operate with candor. That means we don't beat around the bush. You don't speak in code. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say.
Apparently, there are a lot of you looking for jobs right now, because I'm having a lot of job-related questions. And one of them is, what happens if I submit my resume and I'm not hearing anything back? As I mentioned before, 9 times out of 10, if you're not getting called back, it's a resume problem. It's not a you problem. It's the way that you're framing up the resume, and I'm going to show you in a minute what it needs to look like. But don't be afraid. If you submit a resume, you should not let that time go to waste, because here's what's happening behind closed doors. There are candidates who are reaching out to the recruiter or the hiring manager or the company and giving proof points of why they should be somebody that should be considered for the job. And so when you just sit still and kind of shrug your shoulders and hope you get a call, there are people that are hustling behind closed doors to get those jobs. Only word of caution I would give you is don't drive somebody crazy and say, have you made a decision yet? Have you made a decision yet? People don't like that at all. Some acceptable things to do are to check in and say, I know you were looking for this particular skill set for the job. I found this article that's very interesting that I thought might resonate with you. Just wanted to send it your way. Would you pass it along to the hiring manager? Something like that is non-obtrusive, and it's going to be a way for you to stay ever present in somebody's mind without being irritating. The last thing I want you to know is I've written a book, and it is just coming out next week. It's called The Unspoken Truths for Career Success. And it's about how to navigate pay, promotions, power, politics, all of the really hard things in a company. I wrote it because I got to see so many people's careers rise and fall, and I got to see what was going on behind closed doors. It is the book that I wish I would have had as a young professional, because I think I could have avoided a lot of problems. It has scripts, say this, not that, do this, not that. And it really is a reference manual. What I hope is that people buy it and have dog-eared pages that they can reference throughout their career. And it also goes through the 5 stages of growth that we just barely touched on, so that you can know what stage you're in, what you can expect, what the fatal flaws are, and what will absolutely kill your career if you don't get right. It also helps you know what is the skill set I need to be developing now so that I'm ready for the next stage of growth. As I talk to people in mentoring sessions every single day, I know this stuff works. I wish you could read the notes that I get from people every single day that say, this makes a difference in my career and this has helped my career. I hope you'll consider buying the book. I really am very, very proud of it. And I also hope you'll tune into the Job Doctor podcast. It's called The Job Doctor is In. We just rolled it out 5 weeks ago, and it's already number 21 in the nation on career podcasts, which is very, very exciting. So it's a deep dive of the things that I talk about with more complete answers and with callers who we solve the problem right there on the phone. And I think you'll learn a lot. Thanks for having me join you, everybody. Have a great conference.
If your job is on life support, you need the Job Doctor. My brain is a walking database of thousands of case studies on how careers rise and fall. I'll help you diagnose what's really going on. It's the guidance you need to get back on track from someone who's been there. You can make the money you always wanted to make, doing the type of work you have always wanted to do. You may just need a little help from the Job Doctor.
Okay, very cool. That was awesome. I saw some really engaging comments and feedback in the chat.
Yeah, the word cloud thing especially is such like a great way to visualize the words that you're using in your resume versus the job description. I never thought of that.
Yeah, totally. And I saw some folks were already creating their own word cloud. Be sure to, if you're comfortable with it, we'd love to see it. Share it on LinkedIn. Tag Tessa. Tessa White is her name on LinkedIn. And tag hashtag Data Career Summit too. I did want to share, we actually have a copy of Tessa's book. So it's The Unspoken Truths for Career Success. I'm a huge fan of Tessa. I've been following her for quite some time. Her TikTok videos, it's at Job Doctor Tessa. Put it in the chat, are amazing. It's one of those she's one of those rare folks to follow where she really can, make an impact directly, immediately on a given day to what you're working on, to the impact that you're making. So I would definitely recommend following her. I know Brandy's a fan of hers as well.
Yeah, just really actionable insights and being on TikTok, right? It kind of, or Instagram, like has that short form, like they're very consumable tips. So highly recommend checking her out, checking the book out for more insights. But we are a few minutes away from the end of our summit here, and I know we've got some amazing giveaways, right? We do have I think like a discount code for Tessa's book, which was linked in the channel. Or in the chat rather, but we also have 3 amazing giveaways. And I believe, Dustin, if I'm not mistaken, you have already selected the winners.
Yes, for sure. And I did want to make sure that you take a look at the link I put in the chat for Tessa's new book. There is a special offer that she's giving for attendees of the Data Career Summit.